Hello, my name is Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We're reading through the Bible with commentary, and we are in the book of Job, the book that asks, why did this happen? Why is everything so bad? I didn't do anything wrong. Why is everything so absolutely terrible? And his friends come along and say, well, you must be a sinner. Not helpful. And Job was not a sinner. And sometimes we don't know why things happen, and we don't get an explanation, and we don't get to find out. But we're up to chapter 22, and the pattern has been friend speaks, Job prays, friend, speech, prayer. And then we kind of shifted in our previous session. It was friend speaks, Job answers, friend speaks, Job answers, which is going to be what that continues. Actually, if I read as far as I think I'm going to read, there's a place where he actually interrupts his friend. And then in tomorrow's session, again, if I get as far as I think I am, there's an interlude, which is a poem, and the scholars say this was inserted into the text later on. So that's a poem about wisdom. So hopefully we will get up to that point and stop. So we will see how we do. So we're in chapter 22 of the book of Job. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered, "Can a mortal be of use to God? Can even the wisest be of service to God? Is it any pleasure to the Almighty if you are righteous? Or is it gain to him if you make your ways blameless?" Excuse me. "It is for your piety that he reproves you, and is it for your piety that he reproves you and enters into judgment with you?" Actually, it kind of is, because Job was very pious and righteous, and they're testing him out to see, will he continue to trust God even when everything falls down. Verse 5, "Is not your wickedness great? There is no end to your iniquities." So his friend who's come to comfort him is accusing him of all kinds of things. Verse 6, and here's what he's accusing him of. "For you have exacted pleasures from your family for no reason, and stripped the naked of their clothing. You have given no water to the weary to drink, and you have withheld bread from the hungry. The powerful possess the land, and the favored live in it. You have sent widows away empty-handed, and the arms of the orphan you have crushed. Therefore snares are around you, and sudden terror overwhelms you, or darkness so that you cannot see. A flood of water covers you." So what are the sins that he is being accused of? Taking pledges from his family, taking clothes from the naked, not giving water, not giving food, not taking care of widows, not taking care of orphans. Verse 12, "Is not God high in the heavens? See the highest stars, how lofty they are. Therefore you say, what does God know? Can he judge through the deep darkness? Thick clouds enwrap him, so he does not see, and he walks on the dome of heaven. Will you keep to the old way, the way that the wicked have trod? They were snatched away from before their time. Their foundation was washed away by a flood. They said to God, 'Leave us alone, and what can the Almighty do to us?' Yet he filled their houses with good things, but the plans of the wicked are repugnant to me. The righteous see it and are glad. The innocent laugh them to scorn, saying, 'Surely our adversaries are cut off, and what they left fire has consumed.'" So the wicked ones get consumed by fire, and the righteous just laugh at them. Doesn't always work that way, at least not that I've seen. Verse 21, "Agree with God and be at peace. In this way good will come to you. Receive instruction from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you will be restored. If you remove unrighteousness from your tents, if you treat gold like dust, and gold of Ophir like the stones of the torrent bed, and if the Almighty is your gold and your precious silver, then you will delight yourself in the Almighty, and lift up your face to God. You will pray to him, and he will hear you, and you will pay your vows." That means that he's made a prayer, he's made a vow, and when he keeps his vow, then he'll go make a sacrifice and give to God, and you'll have this relationship with God, and you'll be doing that. Verse 28, "You will decide on a matter, and it will be established for you, and light will shine on your ways. When others are humiliated, You say it is pride, for he saves the humble. He will deliver even those who are guilty. They will escape because of the cleanness of your hands. Verse 23. Chapter 23. Then Job answered, Today also my complaint is bitter. His hand is heavy despite my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his dwelling. I would lay my case before him, and fill my mouth with arguments. I would learn what he would answer me, and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in the greatness of his power? No, but he would give heed to me. There an upright person could reason with him, and I should be acquitted forever by my judge. So he wants to go before God. He wants to be acquitted. He wants to be able to have God say, nope, you were good. This is nothing. He just wants God to listen to him. And don't we all? Verse 8, If I go forward, he is not there, or backward, I cannot perceive him. On the left he hides, and I cannot behold him. I turn to the right, but I cannot see him. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come out like gold. My foot has held fast to his steps. I have kept his way and not turned aside. I have not departed from the commandment of his lips. I have treasured in my bosom the words of his mouth. But he stands alone, and who can dissuade him? What he desires, that he does, for he will complete what he appoints for me, and many such things are in his mind. Therefore I am terrified at his presence. When I consider, I am in dread of him. God has made my heart faint. The Almighty has terrified me. If only I could vanish in darkness, and thick darkness would cover my face. Chapter 24. Why are times not kept by the Almighty? And why do those who know him never see his days? The wicked remove landmarks. They seize flocks and pasture them. They drive away the donkey of the orphan. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They thrust the needy off the road. The poor of the earth all hide themselves. Like wild asses in the desert, they go out to their toil, scavenging in the wasteland, food for their young. They reap in a field not their own, and they glean in the vineyard of the wicked. They lie awake all night naked, without clothing. They have no covering in the cold. They are wet with rain of the mountains, and cling to the rock for want of shelter. There are those who snatch the orphan child from the breast, and take as a pledge the infant of the poor. They go about naked, without clothing. Though hungry, they carry the sheaves. Between their terraces they press out oil. They tread the winepresses, but suffer thirst. From the city the dying groan, and the throat of the wounded cries for help, yet God pays no attention to their prayer. So he's saying that there are poor people that are like wild donkeys out in the desert, and they're hungry, and they're working in other people's vineyards, and they can't drink the drinks, they can't eat the food that they're creating, they have no clothing, they're cold, and God is not paying any attention to them. Verse 13, There are those who rebel against the light, who are not acquainted with its ways, and do not stay in its paths. The murderer rises at dusk to kill the poor and needy, and in the night is like a thief. The eye of the adulterer also waits for twilight, saying, No eye will see me, and he disguises his face. In the dark they dig through houses. By day they shut themselves up. They do not know the light. For deep darkness is morning to all of them, for they are friends with terrors of the deep darkness. So there's these people that are evil, and they do their work at night. Verse 18, Swift are they on the face of the waters. Their portion in the land is cursed. No treader turns toward their vineyards. Drought and heat snatch away the snow waters. So does Sheol those who have sinned. The womb forgets them. The worm finds them sweet. They are no longer remembered. So wickedness is broken like a tree. So these terrible people, they end up dead. They end up gone. They don't have any help. Verse 21, They harm the childless woman and do no good to the widow. Yet God prolongs the life of the mighty by his power. They rise up when they despair of life. He gives them security, and they are supported. His eyes are upon their ways. They are exalted a little while, and then are gone. They wither and fade like the mallow. And once again, I think we don't know what that actually means, do we? Footnote N. Hebrew, like all others. Then they fade away like all others. They are cut off like the heads of grain. If it is not so, who will prove me a liar, and show that there is nothing in what I say? Verse 20, again, chapter 25. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered, Dominion and fear are with God. He makes peace in his high heaven. Is there any number to his armies? Upon whom does his light not arise? How then can a mortal be righteous before God? How can one born of woman be pure? If even the moon is not bright, and the stars are not pure in his sight, how much less a mortal who is a maggot, a human being who is a worm? So Bildad is saying, how can humans be righteous or right or clean in front of God? And that's actually a pretty good question. And there's an immediate answer, chapter 26. Then Job answered, How you have helped one who has no power, how you have assisted the arm that has no strength, how you have counseled one who has no wisdom and given much good advice. With whose help have you uttered words, and whose spirit has come forth from you? The shades below tremble, the waters and their inhabitants. Sheol is naked before God, and Abaddon has no covering. He stretches out Zaphon over the void, and hangs the earth upon nothing. He binds up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not torn open by them. He covers the face of the full moon, and spreads over it his cloud. He has described a circle on the face of the waters, at the boundary between light and darkness. The pillars of heaven tremble, and astounded at his rebuke. By his power he stilled the sea. By his understanding he struck down Rahab. By his wind the heavens were made fair. His hand pierced the fleeing serpent. These are indeed but the outskirts of his ways, and how small a whisper do we hear of him. So here is just this brief description of God, but the thunder of his power, who can understand? This very brief description of God, so magnificent, so fabulous, has created the light and the darkness and the stars, and we barely can understand him. Chapter 27, Job again took up his discourse and said, As God lives, who has taken away my right, and the Almighty, who has made my soul bitter, as long as my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils, my lips will not speak falsehood, my tongue will not utter deceit. Far be it from me to say that you are right. Until I die, I will not put away my integrity from me. I hold fast to my righteousness, and I will not let it go. My heart does not reproach me for any of my days. So he is continuing to insist that he is righteous, that he is not speaking falsely, that he has done nothing to deserve the terrible things that have come upon him. Verse 7, May my enemy be like the wicked, and may my opponent be like the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the godless when God cuts them off, when God takes away their lives? Will God hear the cry when trouble comes upon them? Will they take delight in the Almighty? Will they call upon God at all times? I will teach you concerning the hand of God. That which is with the Almighty I will not conceal. All you have seen it yourselves. Why then have you become altogether vain? This is the portion of the wicked with God, and the heritage that oppressors receive from the Almighty. So he's basically still first saying that he is not unrighteous, and he will maintain until the day he dies that he is righteous, that he has done what he's supposed to do. And then he's saying, may the enemies be like the wicked, because the wicked have bad things happen to them. And he's, why have you become altogether vain? He's still saying that the portion, verse 13, this is the portion of the wicked with God, the heritage that oppressors receive from the Almighty. If their children are multiplied, it is for the sword, and their offspring have not enough to eat. So the ones that are bad, if they do have children, it's so that they can die and not have enough to eat and be miserable. Verse 15, those who survive them the pestilence buries, and their widows make no lamentation. Though they heap up silver like dust, and pile up clothing like clay, they may pile it up, but the just will wear it, and the innocent will divide the silver. So the unrighteous ones, if they have any children, they're just going to get killed. And then the ones that survive are going to have disease and die. And the poor people are going to split up their silver and wear because clothing is valuable, will wear the piles of clothing. Which I think that kind of applies, people that have all these clothes, piles and piles of clothes, and where does it end up? At a thrift store of some sort, and the poor wear it. So that's actually true. Well, this says, and the just will wear it. Verse 18, they build their houses like nests, like booths they made by sentinels of the vineyard. They go to bed with wealth, but will do so no more. They open their eyes, and it is gone. Terrors overtake them like a flood. In the night a whirlwind carries them off. The east wind lifts them up, and they are gone. It sweeps them out of their place. It hurls at them without pity. They flee from its power in headlong flight. It claps its hands at them and hisses at them from its place. So terrors and winds are going to take these unrighteous people out of their places, and these unrighteous people are going to have terrible things happen to them. It's going to be terribly uncomfortable, and everything bad is going to happen. Of course, everything bad has been happening to Job, so he kind of sounds like he almost agrees with his friends that if you're not righteous, if you're bad, then these bad things happen. But the problem with thinking that is then when bad things happen, you're like, but I didn't do anything bad. Why is this bad thing happening to me? And of course, sometimes bad things do happen to bad people, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes bad things happen to good people, and sometimes they don't. And part of it is that we live in a world with physics, with gravity. If you take a large vehicle at a high speed and you run it into something, it's a big crash, and people get hurt, and human bodies get mangled. So there are consequences for our behaviors. There's what somebody I know called it collateral damage that happens because we are sinners, and we are, in fact, none of us righteous. And yet God is merciful to all of us. And God is sometimes a little more merciful to other people than we would like God to be. And then, of course, we want God to be very merciful to us. And we like, oh, well, I'm okay. I didn't do anything wrong. If you're like me, you're self-centered and human, and just the sheer human self-centeredness of humans is itself a sin. So we're none of us righteous, and none of us deserve the good things that we have, and maybe none of us deserve the bad things that we have, but we do have both, and it's just the nature of life. And if we're willing, though, God can use the bad things in our life to shape us to be more like God and to become better people than what we are now, which is what I absolutely strive for. And when we get up to the book of James, which is way in the New Testament, it's consider it all joy when you are tested, because testing produces character, produces perseverance, and we become better people when we have hard times. And I always struggle with this because I want my children to become amazing people, but I don't like to see them struggle. And of course, we all have to struggle, and we all have our own struggles that we have to go through. So, some things to think about. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Like, subscribe, comment. We will see you again next time. Thanks for being here.